Folks, this is the Chad Factor coming at you. I want to give my take on this virus situation and the stimulus bill and my my mindset when it comes to Trump. A lot of people say that I'm wrong for being, you know, concerned or cynical about the government giving out mandatory curfews, mandatory stay at home orders, and partial martial law. People think that we can trust them with everything and that everybody's just stay inside because there's this outbreak going on and we can't do work, we can't do anything since there's a sickness. People keep telling me to listen to the experts and do what the experts say, so I'm going to give you an expert right now to give you his perspective on the whole thing. Give me just a minute.
I don't claim to know what's motivating the media, but my God, their reporting is absolutely reprehensible. They should be ashamed of themselves. They are creating a panic that is far worse than the viral outbreak. The bottom line, everybody, is listen to Anthony Fauci at the CDC, do what he tells you, and go about your business. That's the story. There's not one doctor I've spoken to that disagrees with me. Not one. I ran into an agreement with Dr. Oz last night. He was saying the same thing. We're all telling you the same thing. Stop listening to journalists. They don't know what they're talking about. Listen to the CDC, listen to Anthony Fauci, and do not listen to anybody else. This is the job of those people. They are highly trained professionals. They know what they're doing. Just follow their direction. I saw CNN reporters this morning talking to an infectious disease doctor from Vanderbilt, a very fine infectious disease doctor, but I wanted to scream at him, tell these people to stop. Tell the press to stop. They went, oh, my God, what about the testing? We don't have testing. And the doctor just simply calmly went, no, we have private and public testing. We're rolling it out. We have it. We have the same as other countries. Oh, but we don't. Shut up. We do. And by the way, you don't test people willy-nilly. The way medical tests are done is you have criteria for the test. Doctors determine that criteria. You apply the test. Testing randomly is called a screening test. That's no longer a diagnostic test. You do diagnostic tests when the index of suspicion of the illness is high. Then, otherwise, you don't test. If you have an index of suspicion that is moderate, you tell people to stay home. That's it. It's awful that people get sick. I know. I got H1N1. It sucked. I treated people with it. It was awful. And we have another awful virus circulating around now. And by the way, if you combine corona and influenza this year, it's still just a moderate flu season. It's not even a severe flu season. Wow. So all these horror stories about lack of ventilators and hospital beds being full, that is total BS. Total BS. Do not be alarmed by the word pandemic, which the CNN reporters seem to have discovered this morning. Let me translate for you the word pandemic. Pandemic is a technical term that means a new virus, B, widespread. Do you think we have that? Yes, we do. Can you name for me the last pandemic? Well, we had one about 10 years ago, the H1N1. And, oh, my God, did the world come to an end then? I actually got H1N1. It was brutal. I don't like the fact that people have to get sick. But we are biological beings, and we have these viral outbreaks, and we're in one now. We don't have treatment. We don't have vaccines yet, though we will. In the meantime, we have containment, and contain it we will, period. Wash your hands, get your flu shot. That should be the story. Wash your hands, get your flu shot. Every sentence should end with that, because you are way orders of magnitude more likely to die of the flu than the coronavirus. We have 18,000 dead from the flu, 280,000 hospitalized.
And by the way, that's the only thing I disagree with Dr. Drew on, not the statistics he just gave, but about actually getting the flu shot. I personally think that there's natural herbs and elements you can use to get rid of the flu. Because as a person who had H1N1 themselves and was sick for a week, flu shots really aren't the best thing. Sometimes they offer some people, but they're not at 100%, and 100% rate is usually getting herbs and different elements and natural stuff in your body to get rid of the flu. That's what I experienced personally. But I had H1N1. 12,000 people died, and there was no media craze. No one saying, "Oh my God, we're all gonna die," and we're in a pandemic. 200,000 people are going to die, even though the CDC just said that there wasn't this massive thing going on with that. Okay, and we didn't shut anything down, and things still ran the same. My argument is, do we have to shut down businesses to keep people safe? And my answer to that is emphatically no, you do not. I agree with canceling concerts. I agree with canceling public events. I agree with closing the Olympics for another year. Okay? That's what I agree with, canceling that. But canceling people's businesses, canceling people's way of life is not the way to go. And that's why we are going to a depression. So the next video I will show you, and it's from my friend That Guy T, aka Talib Brown, about how South Korea is handling this coronavirus. And I'm about to show you that clip right now. Hold on.
I.e., the Chinese Communist Party.
The response of China has been what I would call the classic response to a health crisis, to a pandemic or epidemic, which is to say they respond with force, quarantines, deploying the military, all that sort of thing. That's been the reaction of China, Italy, and the United States, whereas we've seen a very different approach from South Korea, where they've sort of embraced technology and an open and transparent society, the values of those societies, in fighting the coronavirus in different ways.
Even with the relatively high numbers of confirmed cases in South Korea, people in the country are staying calm and supermarket shelves remain well stocked.
Hyper-aggressive authoritarianism isn't the only winning approach to battling the coronavirus. South Korea at one point appeared as though it would topple Italy in terms of coronavirus affliction, but the country has actually had one of the most successful mitigation campaigns in the world thus far, without deploying military, forcing communities into lockdown, or even pressuring firms and small vendors to shutter operations. This sprawling country of 51.4 million residents has trounced Italy and the US in controlling the outbreak. In his article for AIR, Peter highlighted how Korea's public-private partnership led to one of the fastest and voluntary recoveries on record. They successfully scaled one of the first drive-through testing facilities. They enlisted the expert.
This is precautions that people need to make. This is the precautions that we should have made first, and doing that to make sure it doesn't spread. I'm not saying don't take precautions, but it's the example of the precautions people are talking about.
Expertise of entrepreneurs and property owners to develop voluntary open source health registries and self-quarantine apps, which proved to be a very practical approach thanks to the country's huge technology market. All this while minimally disrupting normal economic and societal functions. South Korea's vice health minister summarized the underlying premise of the government's approach to arresting the spread of the coronavirus. Quote, "Without harming the principle of a transparent and open society, we recommend a response system that blends voluntary public participation with creative applications of advanced technology." Health officials even slash regulations that can keep vital medical innovations in legal limbo for years. A week after holding their first coronavirus task force meeting, Korea's CDC approved one company's diagnostic test. A few days later, another company followed, and by the end of February, Korea was making headlines around the world for its drive-through screening centers and ability to test thousands of people daily thanks to a rapid supply of test kits from the private sector. There has been some criticism against Korea's use of intrusive surveillance systems like facial recognition, which they use to track and quarantine some suspected cases. But in full context, vastly more respectful of the individual citizen and private industry than anyone else we've seen under similar conditions.
They've used a lot of voluntary services. Like I said, they leverage technology. They've deputized owners of private property to require, if they want, that people wear masks to enter and that sort of thing. And as I commented in an article which will be out tomorrow, I can just imagine what Americans, or how many Americans would react if they were told they couldn't enter their favorite restaurant or whatever without a mask.
The idea of allowing private business owners to enforce discriminatory no mask, no entry policies seems like a very common sense approach. But Pete's right. Americans would probably prefer everyone be equally barred from public gatherings than allow businesses to effectively find ways to mitigate spread through.
So that's my point about it, that, businesses trying to say no mask, no entry, drive-through tests, using the private sector to make these tests and make this technology. That is the best way to do precautions, not shutting everything down just to contain it. Because when you shut everything down, you already have some suicides happening in Tennessee. You already have people killing themselves in certain areas of the country. Okay, you already have this going on, and when your economy crashes, then the crime rate goes up, and people don't really feel like that saving the economy is just as important as saving people. They're both equally important because you can't have one without the other, because even if you save people's lives from this virus, there'll be drastic lives affected by the economy crashing, suicides. The businesses have already shut down. Even with the stimulus bill, businesses have already shut down even after this. Okay? And it's crazy how they're telling people to stay in their homes, doing crazy tactics like that. But Governor Newsom, I think that's his name, Governor Newsom in California, just let out prisoners, some of them murderers in California, New York. Texas is the only state that has not, that made an order to not just let criminals just go out on the streets. Okay, and I am for criminal justice reform. I am for rehabilitation. But do you think this is the right time, when businesses and everything is shut down, to just let people out while telling you to stay inside your house? That's all I'm asking. Or are they trying to get something to happen? And I'll post the articles of these places letting people out of prison to prove a point to you. Because a lot of people are letting people out. D.C., New York, California, I'll keep going. Yes, many of them are nonviolent. Most of them are nonviolent. But this is still a bad time to do this. So I want to talk about the stimulus bill a little bit. So this is an article from NPR. $2 trillion coronavirus aid package. 560 million individuals, 156 billion to public public health, state and local governments 339 billion, small business 377 billion, big corporations 500 billion, education 43 billion, so it's in the billions. So let me look at this. Cash payments estimated total 300 billion. Most individuals earning less than 75,000, which a lot of people can't apply for. We'll have a one-time cash payment of $1,200. Married couples would each receive a check, and families would get $500 per child. That means a family of 4 earning less than 150,000 can expect $3,400. The checks start to phase down after that and disappear completely for people making more than $99,000 and couples making $198,000. Extra unemployment payments, the $260 billion estimated cost, subject to change based on the number of people filing for employment. The bill makes major changes to unemployment assistance, increasing the benefits and broadening who is eligible. States will continue to pay unemployment to people who qualify. The amount varies from state to state. Small business. The bill provides $10 billion for grants of up to $10,000 to provide emergency funds for small business to cover immediate operating costs. There is a $350 billion allocated for small business administration to provide loans up to $10 million per business. Any portion of that loan used to maintain payroll. Big business, airlines got $58 billion to help airlines stay open. $100 billion for hospitals responding to coronavirus. Child nutrition, $8.8 billion. Food stamps, $15.5 billion. Food banks, $450 million. So my point in saying this is that this money is going mostly to your bigger corporations, and I do have to say this. I think it would have been better to let the airline industry and certain big corporations fall out a little bit, but before they fall out, give their Give all of their, because it would cost $1 billion to give all their employees a 4-month care package, meaning that every employee would have to get 4, 8, 12, $16,000 for each employee. And that would cost in excess of $1 billion to do. I'd rather for them to fall and let themselves rise up than just keep bailing out these companies and give them and let the airlines or any of these corporations give them, because this is a form of socialism. I understand where people come from. I understand people don't want to lose their jobs or downplay on anything. But I'm saying that to say that if you keep letting these people build up, that you are just printing out money, and that they just keep failing and keep bailing them out. You can't you can't keep bailing them out when they keep falling on their head. You gotta let them improve a little bit themselves. Okay. So that's my point about this, is that this bill is for the corporations, and yes, people will get this $1,200 check, but it's going to affect them in the long run. There might be some big inflation in the long run with us paying more taxes to back up for this $1 trillion freaking bill. Okay? So I'm not really a big fan of this stimulus bill whatsoever. This is not even real money. This is fiat currency, and your taxes and everything else will fluctuate because of this. Just understand that. Now, there's a lot of people say, can the Constitution, that why people are doing these curfews and stopping public gatherings, and there's 2 clauses of the Constitution I would like to talk about. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into the execution of foregoing powers and all the powers vested by this Constitution, the government of the United States, or any department or office thereof. So pretty much what they're saying in this is that if there's a natural emergency, they can bypass the Bill of Rights. If there's wartime, necessary and proper. Okay? That they can do whatever they want. This is a loophole in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay? The next one is Article 6, Section 2, the Supremacy Clause. The Supremacy Clause of the Constitution of the United States establishes the Constitution and federal laws made pursuant to it and treaties made under its authority constitute the supreme law of the land, and thus take priority over conflicting state laws. So this is where the states' rights argument comes in, the 10th Amendment. Both of these clauses need to go, because it violates the 10th Amendment and it violates the Bill of Rights in both ways. You can keep the Declaration of Independence. I still like the Bill of Rights. I still like the overall Constitution. But these 2 clauses need to go, because this isn't liberty. This is not protecting citizens. It's protecting the government, which it's supposed to be the citizens are protected from the government. Okay? And I want to get into this also, of the fact of the matter is, everyone keeps talking about diseases. This disease is going to kill millions, that this is going to kill millions of people with this virus, and we need the state to come in. We need them. I want to show you a couple of diseases, right? Let's look at the bubonic plague. Bubonic plague. The bubonic plague resulting in deaths of estimated 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia. Let me see the exact. I want to see the exact death toll. Give me a minute. It's estimated to kill 30 to 60% of Europe's population in total. The plague may have reduced the world's population by an estimated 475 million to 350 to 375 million. well, a rough estimate of 25 million people. Basically, it killed 25 million people in Europe. All right. The Spanish flu. Number of deaths. This is from let me look this up for you guys. The number of deaths at least 50 million worldwide, with about 675,000 occurring in the United States. So it killed 50 million people worldwide and 675,000 in the United States. So let's look at a term I call democide. And I'm going to go right to Hawaii. So this is death by government over the last 100 years. So he changed from Mao's famine from 1958 to 1960 from 0 to 38 million. I have changed this before colonial democide, 870,000 to additional 50 million. So the new world total from 1900 to 1999, 174 million. New world total, 174 million to 38 million for China, plus 50 million for colonies, is 262 million. So if you add abortion rate, since Roe versus Wade, give me a second. Okay, so let me see if this is going to be. I gotta double check this. I gotta make sure you the audience, it gets this information. Okay, 61 million abortions since 1973. So add that into the number 262 million. That's 340 million people that have died by hands of government. And I'm adding Roe versus Wade in there because it was by a government law created by that a woman who wanted to have the abortion, Roe versus Wade, by the government. So that's 320 million people that have died by their government in the entire world. The reason why I'm saying that America could have potential to kill any of its citizens is because they have done so. Okay? They have already done this. Native Americans, they killed Native American citizens. They imprisoned Japanese Americans. There were riots back and forth. You know, there was a syphilis experiment. Okay? There were them doing the eugenics program on even white people, even certain white women or white people deemed to be unfit. So I'm just saying that there is a potential for you to give the state and governments more clearance. And that's why I say these two clauses need to go. It doesn't matter during wartime or an emergency. You do not use your liberties or rights. And I just showed you the statistics. So I fear the government of any country, especially the United States, more than the bubonic plague, more than the Spanish flu, more than any disease, because of the stuff I just showed you. And as for me supporting, I can no longer support Trump. I believe I'm going to vote either libertarian or I'm just going to sit home because he is extending the federal government by these war acts. This is NDAA. This is the Patriot Act. So I can no longer support him at this point. And if you feel about it and how you feel about it in the comment section, let me know below. But I can't do it. It's against my principles. He has went against free speech by making laws saying that you can't talk about Israel or protest against Israel. That's against free speech. Doesn't matter what you talk about. You should talk about anything. I mean, if Ben Shapiro is going to defend free speech for conservatives, you got to defend people who criticize Israel. And that's why Abby Martin is suing Georgia Southern right now. Look that up. Okay? You did the bum stock ban. Okay? And I get where people are going to come from. They say that doesn't matter. This doesn't. You give them an inch, you get a molehill. You give them an inch, you give them a molehill. So, it's that. And now, increasing the power of the federal government by doing this. If we did what South Korea did, we would not be in this issue, and we wouldn't be going into a depression, and we wouldn't have people committing suicide or panic. Just like Dr. Drew just said. If you do it the right way, and if the media wasn't involved, you wouldn't be in a panic. But yes, I fear the government more than any disease. There are good people. There are some good people in government, but it's not enough to outweigh the bad or the swamp. Even though, because like I said, I can't do it. I can't support Trump at this point. Even though it's not necessarily what he did first, it's state governments first, but him falling in line to what they're doing and doing all this unnecessary guidelines, shutdowns, and things of this nature, just adding to the vitriol. So I'm either gonna vote libertarian or stay home. So he's already went against all my principles. So leave your comments in the description. Follow me on Twitter, the Chad Factor. And very happy I did this video. Thank you.